Welcome to Season 2, Episode 40, also known as Episode 72 of the Retro Game Club podcast. I'm Hugh, and joining me is someone who is offering a full refund, Rob.
Yeah, through Sony and I guess Microsoft now. I guess I had a really bad launch, and I am not worth money.
Yes. So yeah, I really wasn't following Cyberpunk 77 because there was like a 0% chance I was ever going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe in the future, but like it's one of these things where my impression of it was it's probably a PC first game in that maybe getting it on a console, it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be great on PlayStation 5. And I guess I was more right than I expected, right? So the game on console is basically unplayable. That's the
At least
the
on
story behind
PS4. I guess on PS5 it's a lot better, but still pretty buggy. Like, if you turn your character around, you'll see people just like appearing out of nowhere instead of, appearing out of sight, when they're spawning.
Mhm.
And these aren't like other players. They're like non-character players,
Yeah.
But people seem to like the game, so I don't know. They've only had since 2012 to get this one right, so they've literally started it in 2012.
So I was reading this article out on something we probably never mentioned before, defector.com. It's the people that used to run Deadspin, but now they run a different site.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an article called "At Least Now You Know Which Video Game Reviewers Are Sellout Clowns," which is about like this giant NDA that you had to sign to review Cyberpunk 77,
Mm-hmm.
including that you weren't allowed to post video footage of the game. You could only post a still picture, presumably because video would show off that it didn't run very well on PS4.
Yeah.
And just about reviewers that, so they could get an early copy, sign these NDAs, and wrote glowing reviews for the game, even though it did not actually run on their platform.
Wow, yeah.
Which I have to admit that's pretty low. But I get the feeling like writing articles about video games is probably not a good way to get rich.
No, it's probably pretty thankless, and it's a lot of work even though you're playing video games. And,
Yeah.
People are talking about like, this happens with a lot of games. Sometimes they just give up and give you your money back, or just give up and you don't get your money back. Or you have stuff like No Man's Sky where like 2 years later, it was a pretty cool game. Like I ended up buying No Man's Sky for $5 at a toy show. And then 2 weeks later, a big update released, and then it was like back up to full price.
Okay.
So you never know what's going to happen. I guess they did the same thing with Fallout 76. I've never played that. So.
Yeah, I know that was at least a big success. Like I think whatever was wrong with Fallout 76 got worked out.
Maybe just don't do pre-orders. Is that the lesson here?
Yeah, unless it's like someone super reliable. Like I can't remember the last time Nintendo had a completely terrible game launch, like a buggy game launch. I know they were like, there was like one or two, like I think, it wasn't even Breath of the Wild. I think it was Skyward Sword maybe had a game-breaking bug that you could trigger, and of course there's no updates for it.
No, Breath of the Wild just had bugs that made the game easier. So like, you could pretty much farm bomb arrows, but they took that out. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what's been going on?
What has been going on? Yeah, work's kind of winding down for the year. We were doing some last minute Christmas decorating. If people like off-topic discussions, this is going to be a good one. And if you don't like off-topic discussions, then fast forward like 2 minutes. So I realized that we have a number in my house. We have a number of what I would call canceled Christmas ornaments. So like, my wife's really like into theater and old time movies and stuff. And in our collection of ornaments, she has some Gone with the Wind ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some Hulk Hogan ornaments that I have a separate tree for my dorky ornaments. But like I have Hulk Hogan. I'm still not sure if Harry Potter's canceled or not. Like it's not real clear to me. I definitely have some ornaments from Belgium that have a character that's part of like the the Belgian Dutch version of Christmas that's now also been canceled. So I was thinking of making a canceled ornament Christmas tree.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I think there's real potential for that. It's just in your house. Like I think you can still have those ornaments up in your house.
Yeah. You're not making a political statement or anything. It's almost just a joke.
It kind of is, yeah. And then I posted a gallery on my site. Won't be linked to the notes or not. With my the ornaments on my nerd tree that I have, which includes like Hulk Hogan and Goldberg and a lot of video game stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I saw a lot of Zelda stuff and stuff like that. Some Simpsons stuff.
So all that. And then on Christmas Eve, we're going to have on Nerd Noise Radio Channel 2, I think, we're going to have a Christmas music episode coming out. So if you don't subscribe to that site, you should. We talk about, I think, 14 Christmas-type songs in video games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I'll check that out.
So that's what I got going on. How about you?
My work got busy again. It's just temporary though. Just a lot of people out, and then we had a vendor really mess up, and it was on us to fix it. Just not fun. But in that time, I managed to.
Was that vendor SolarWinds or was it someone else?
No, it was not that bad.
Okay.
Although I did this week also, I did find a vendor that I subscribe to a service that this is actually a good idea for a business. Where all this business is you give them I think it's like $300 a year, and you tell them what domain you want them to monitor and some other maybe some other IPs or email addresses, and they give you instant alerts of whether your passwords are on the dark web and which ones they are, and they give them to you in plain text so you could actually see them. And it's great because I could see if a vendor's been hacked. If we have someone at our company that has a password that's been hacked, and not internally or anything, if they use it someplace else, I'll literally send them their own password. Be like, you might want to change this. And most of them are pretty funny passwords. But anyway, I had a vendor, and they're like, we did not get hacked, and I literally had to send them screenshots of their own passwords. So that's the kind of week I've had. But in that time, I've managed to squeeze in a little bit of kind of game cleanup time. A while ago, I got an AVS NES, which is kind of like an analog NT competitor. I think it actually came out before analog, if I'm right. AVS NES. And it's pretty highly rated. And it was actually in that Mapper article from a week or two ago. It was part of that, and it ranked pretty high in it. And I'm liking it so far. The only reason why I didn't open it sooner, I got this thing months ago, is just because I've been so busy. You know what I mean? And other priorities. And the first game I play, and the only reason why I played this game first is just because I pretty much just clicked randomly, and this is what came up. Doki Doki Panic. First game I pick, I get a Mapper Not Supported error. Which is weird because I'm like, okay. So then I pick Mario 2, Mario USA, and it works perfect. So I didn't try any other FDS games. I actually was going to try Zelda or Metroid on FDS, but at that point, I just actually wanted to play a game that worked instead of tech supporting something else in my life. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. I know that's a bad start, but this thing is really highly rated. Who knows if I end up actually getting an analog NT, maybe this will be a giveaway on a future episode. But other than playing our Game Club games, I figure we might want to talk about Season 3 because we have this episode. We're recording that long time promised King's Quest episode soon, which will probably launch in the new year. So this will probably be our last episode of this season. So, I mean, there's not too much to report. I don't think we want to change anything big about the show. I know we're going to try to get more guests and, maybe a few more topics. Just for a while there, both of us were really busy, and that's why there weren't a lot of topics. And
yeah, I think 2020 did not turn out the way most people planned. Like last night while I was having the basically a Zoom holiday party with the group that I normally have a holiday party with around this time of year. We at the beginning, or sorry, last year at the holiday party, we all wrote down 5 psychic predictions for 2020, right? Just for fun, and then we put them aside, and then we're going to read them a year later. And it turns out none of us found out nailed this pandemic thing. And when you think about it, like coronavirus, like we'd heard of it at the end of you knew about it in December of last year, right? You just people like fighting over toilet paper in Walmart was not on the list of things anybody predicted.
No.
I hit 2 predictions. I hit XFL goes out of business.
Nice.
Not a hard one. Not a real hard one. And one that you can pretty much nail every single year, which is previously undiscovered asteroid flies within orbit of Earth and Moon.
Yes, does not hit.
Happens at least 3 times a year. I'm sorry, but I got off on a tangent there.
Sorry. Yeah.
It was about the season 3 plans. Yeah, I mean, if people have suggestions, email at retrogameclub.net.
Yeah.
And we're under no obligation to actually follow through on anyone's suggestions. But if someone says, hey, this would make your show like 80% better, and it's an idea that we actually like, then we'll do it.
Yeah, even not just topics, even like different segments, how to mess up your, I guess realign the show's schedule. I don't know what you would call it. Right now we do like news, topic, game club, email, and the rest. And, who knows? You guys might have a different segment idea. We have a lot of new listeners, so, I'd like to welcome you all. Please go back into the back catalog and see a bunch of fun topics we had. The funny thing about this kind of niche podcast is that it's already retro. So a lot of the stuff we go over, it doesn't matter that it's old news because it's already old news,
Yeah.
So, so we'll probably have this episode and then maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, we'll do the King's Quest episode, or, we'll publish the King's Quest episode. And then, maybe halfway into the new year, we'll get things going again. So, just wanted to thank everyone on helping us keep this show going just by listening and participating. We love the emails. We love the social media responses, even though Zach is the one that filters it for us.
Right.
So I guess we should get this show going.
Yeah, let's do that. ActRaiser turns 30 today, or by today it means sometime in this week.
Very mixed article.
Yeah. I know the soundtrack to ActRaiser really well, but I haven't really played ActRaiser.
There's a funny quote in here. So on Twitter, one of the creators of ActRaiser put, and I'm paraphrasing, we started with writing an RPG. It couldn't be done in time, so we made it into an action game. We've never made one before. Sorry to everyone who died from barely glancing the side of a spike trap.
Yes. So this it's a Yuzo Koshiro soundtrack. That's for me the most noteworthy thing about the game. But again, I haven't really played it too much.
Yeah, it'll probably be a Game Club game sometime. I have a vivid memory of playing this. This may be in the first Super Nintendo game I played at Nintendo World Championships when they came through Detroit.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, vivid memory of that. What else? Capcom Arcade Stadium. I guess this is a new Switch release.
Yeah, and Capcom, they've had a few like announcements about hardware that's going to cost like absurd amounts of money. But this sounds more like the Sega Ages thing, where like you buy Sega Ages, and then you download packs of games or individual games. That's how it works on like phone and Steam, I want to say. And yeah, they have 3 different packs, and they kind of do it where they, sprinkle one game you might want in each of these packs, depending on what genre you like. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's not like a shooter pack, a fighter pack, a side scroller pack. There's like one game of each genre at least in those.
Yeah, like 1941 and 1942, different packs. They do it by year, so it's 84, 88, that's one pack. Then the second pack, 89, 92, and then the third pack, 92 and 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So February 2021, this comes out. Which pack do you think looks the best?
Arcade Evolution Pack 3.
Agreed.
9201. It has Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo,
Pro Gear.
Pro Gear, Cyberbots. Did I like that game? I might have. I don't know Warriors of Fate, and then some of the later 1944 games.
And Giga Wing is pretty good too.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing about this pack, all these packs is that they're only the arcade release, which usually that would be a good thing, except like Legendary Wings, I think, is in the top 3 best Nintendo games ever made, and the arcade version is just not good.
Yeah, I almost want to say the same for Bionic Commando. I like the NES. The NES version is not a lot like the arcade, and I think I like the NES version of Bionic Commando better than the arcade version. And I might like the NES version of Section Z better than the arcade version.
Yeah. And when you get to the later games like Pro Gear and Giga Wing, they're pretty much the same. So, and like Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 2, pretty much the same, which also might reaffirm that Pack 3 is the best. So, yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about it in February.
So, this is a strange story.
I wouldn't call it a story.
The RestoMod is a limited edition retro-looking PC with a fake floppy. So this is a story about a computer case that has a sticker on the front of a floppy drive.
Yes. And it's a pre-made PC that has like your latest graphics card and stuff. It costs $2,800.
Right. It looks like it was made in 1992, but you think for $2,800 you could just put a faceplate of like a disk drive in.
Yeah. Or you could actually put a floppy drive in this. You could actually put the real things instead of the stickers.
Yeah. Now, a 5.25-inch drive, that's not supported by anything anymore. There's no OS. You can. I don't even think Windows. I think Windows dropped support. Linux dropped support for 3.5-inch floppies too, didn't they? You can only do USB drives. USB floppy drive you can do, but I think Linux, in some fairly recent iteration, dropped support for 3.5-inch floppy. Just took the driver out.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I laughed just thinking about it. But when I was getting back into retro computing, not just retro gaming, but actually retro computing, putting together like, a 46 or a P190. I got one of those cheap USB external floppies, 3.5-inch floppies that you could get from Amazon that are not good. They work, but they're not as good as, the originals. The first thing I did with it, and I couldn't believe this worked, and it did work. I plugged it into my Android phone, and the phone recognized the device. Yeah.
It's just a USB drive, right?
Yeah.
If it works right, it would just be recognized as a USB drive. So I had, like a $10 external USB drive that I got, off Amazon or wherever, maybe Newegg, who knows. But then one random yard sale many, many years ago, in the before times, someone was selling a iMac external floppy drive for like $1.
Those are pretty nice for USB.
It is a really nice drive. Yeah, it looks cool. It's got that like kind of teal transparent plastic cover, and it's really neat, really, really nice.
Yeah, I have a drawer. I have one drawer of floppies and things to clean up floppies, and one drawer of optical media that I have not touched any of those in years. It's one of those things where I keep thinking, why do I have this? And I know the second I get rid of it, I'm going to need it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have this thing, like I have a drawer, well, not really, I guess you'd call it a drawer, shelf might be a better term, of just old hard drives of like every hard drive I've owned. And every now and then I will like break one down, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, you could probably fit all those onto like a single thumbstick.
Yeah, well, that was my criteria. I know we're like getting way off topic on everything
Yeah.
here, but my criteria was if the hard drive is smaller than my largest USB stick, then I destroy it.
It's probably good. Yeah.
But I'm starting to get like the ones that I have left are all like because I'm paranoid about data loss and hard drives really aren't that expensive. I'll just like rotate out hard drives every couple of years.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It definitely can't hurt.
So, so what article were we on? Okay, so let's skip that. This hero turned an N64 into a mini PC with Intel's new unit of computing. I would rate this as person mutilates Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I was going to say they misspelled monster. They spelled hero
Right.
instead of monster. I mean, cool. I guess it looks cool. I hope it was a dead N64 that was unrecoverable. But yeah. So if you're, I think Intel Nooks are cool, and I think, retro looking cases are cool. That's why I put this article in here. But don't mutilate your old systems. They're pieces of art. Please. This is about something else I have played with. The SuperSD System 3 by Terra Onion has a new firmware that just came out. And I guess it sold. They did not plan on doing this, but the item sold so well they didn't realize TurboGrafx had such a huge following. So the SuperSD System 3 is a device you put on the back port of your TurboGrafx or PC Engine. And it acts as a turbo booster, it acts as like an EverDrive, and it gives you RGB out. And this makes it so you could. Sorry, go on.
It does see. I'm sorry. I'm just pointing to get lost. It does CD emulation too.
Yes, yaps with arcade card and stuff like that too. But this lets you do screenshots. This lets you do per BIOS games. So you could like assign a certain BIOS to a game. US BIOSes now load Japanese games in their original hardware. And just a bunch of quality of life features. So it's cool that they keep updating this thing.
How much does this thing cost again? Because yeah, I'm really tempted to buy one now. They're really expensive, right?
They are
231 euros, which I don't know what that is, man. That's probably a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So it's a really nice device though, but literally the day after I bought mine, Analog announced the Analog Duo device.
Yeah. Which, if it's possible to buy one of those, I will buy one. I suspect only bots and scalpers are going to own it.
Yeah, I wish they would just use the limited run games way of doing things, where just sell it for a week. However many you sell, make that many,
Yeah. Right, because even, like, I think the concern is that you could possibly, sell more than you could produce. Like, I guess that's a problem you could have. But on the flip side, when you do that model, it discourages the scalpers and the bots. Like, Limited Run Games just put out Panzer Dragoon for PS4 for pre-order this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet there's not going to be a lot of interest in scalping it because, if you're a scalper, you're trying to sell that to someone who wasn't able to get the game when the sale was open. And now that that's not a thing, you don't have the same incentive.
Exactly, yeah. And I wish Analog would also re-release their other stuff. Like they just don't make the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo one anymore. Really frustrating. I want to give them money. Was this next one yours?
Yeah, and I barely understand it. It's called the cleverest floppy disk protection ever, Western Security Limited. So this site, it's a blogspot site. It's called scarybeastsecurity.blogspot.com, and it looks at a number of security issues, but it tends to look at like how old computers did disk protection. And this thing is so I can't understand. Like this guy is significantly smarter than me. Because I can barely understand like what he's describing, and how he figured it out seems even more bizarre. Yeah. But it's about a crazy disk protection scheme. And if you want a very technical article about tricks developers did back in the day to make it hard to copy their games, this is certainly a good read. This is like our first topic was about like Apple, the disk cloning thing. So you could clone a disk exactly, including like purposeful defects in the disk.
Yeah, that's called applesauce, right?
Yeah.
WAS files.
Yeah. You would need something like that to play these games.
Yeah, just wild. People smarter than me.
Yeah. Ray tracing on the Super Nintendo.
This is nuts.
Is this old? No, this is new. This seems so familiar.
This is new. So this guy created a SuperFX type chip that, you could fit into a cartridge, and the Super Nintendo still does all the driving, and it does basic ray tracing. I think it does one bounce ray tracing on the fly, some texture effects, and it only supports a few different model types, certain kinds of polygons, but just absolutely crazy. And it doesn't use an ARM processor or anything like that. It has kind of two 50 megahertz chips in it that does the work, and then sends it back out into like what the PP unit can use. Just nuts. This is a YouTube video. I highly recommend everyone watch this, because if this was possible back in the day, then no other system would matter. Mm-hmm. But of course, this looks almost as good as Silicon Graphics stuff back in the day, which were like $60,000 computers. So I doubt it would have been possible. Yeah, just crazy. I hope somebody, makes a game based off this, Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I really...
It's not gonna be me. I don't understand high graphics math very well.
No. Kind of the dumbest article of the week. SNK is making a new console, it seems.
Yep, there's not much information in this. SNK tweeted something that people are implying might mean they're going to release another console.
Which just seems totally pointless. Back in the day, 16-bit was expensive, and they were kind of 24-bit, and that's what made them the, quoting this article, Rolls-Royce video game consoles. But to do that now, what would you do? Release a, nitrogen-cooled, overclocked console, I guess?
No, they're going to release another thing that's a collection of Neo Geo games on a device that's small.
Yeah. Or a Steam box.
They're not doing that.
Yeah, just... And remember, didn't some Saudi prince buy SNK? Didn't that happen? Like, isn't this just kind of a money grab?
There were rumors of that. I don't know if that went through or not. I certainly remember that story. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what actually happened there. I figure SNK has probably been passed around a few times. I don't really know who owns it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just wait and see on this one. Friend of the show, David Craddock, curated a greatest hit game bundle of books.
Yeah, so I did not I usually buy all these book bundles, but I have so many of them. I think this, looking at it, there's a lot of duplication with previous book bundles, but I think that's the point. I think this is like, if you missed out on a lot of these other book bundles in the past, here's kind of like the best of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books, 95 books. You know how long it take? I read like one book every 2 years. Like, and most of that is like when my kid had a track meet, and now I don't have that anymore. So,
but a lot of good stuff here, and even if you miss this, it'd be good to click back, and if you're just looking for a book suggestion, you could pretty much click on any of these books, and it'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a lot of historical books, a lot of some how-to books, like dev gaming or game.
There's like a how-to-use RPG Maker book in here. Yeah, so there's like I said, there's development, there's game history, there's some boss battle books. Those are really fun to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or a boss fight. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
Pixelated 1980s version of Doom.
Yeah, built on the Pico 8, which I have yet to play with. I guess that's a game framework, right?
Yeah, I've actually kind of want to play with this too. I just maybe that's what I'll do next year. I've been like, I wanted to do another game demo this year, but I was just like completely unmotivated. Never could get up the motivation to actually do it. And I think part of the reason I finished a game demo in the first place, it's because I was using it as a way to learn a new game system, like learn how to program a game system. And I think that is the part I actually enjoyed, not the making a game part.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I might make another game demo, but it might have to be on a different system because that's.
So it's almost like you like making game frameworks better than game demos.
Well, yeah, maybe not framework. I just like to see if I can make stuff work.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe that's what I'll do. I'm wondering like how hard it would be to program a Game Boy, for example. That seems like a good challenge.
That does seem like a good challenge.
Next.
Well, if you want a different challenge, the next article is perfect for you.
Yeah.
This is on copeteti.org also. I think this is where we link to for the Master System schematics, but
this
is the TurboGrafx and PC Engine architecture. Pretty much everything you could ever want to know if you're trying to program a TurboGrafx.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I actually have thought about it because I think I talked on like last episode maybe. Like, I'm sort of interested in doing like if I did another game development type project. I mentioned Sega CD seems kind of interesting just because I don't want to compose music. Like, I don't want to figure out how to do. I don't know anything about music. I know absolutely nothing. Like, I can't tell you the difference between an A and F note. Like, if you played them both, I can tell you which one's which. So it's really hard to program music, but for a CD console, you don't have to worry about it. You can just go grab a bunch of public domain music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Assuming you can find something that fits your game, and there's like classical music or whatever. So that's why I think that's why this TurboGrafx one is kind of interesting because programming TurboGrafx CD is another thing I've kind of thought about a lot. Because it just removes so many of the limits. I mean, you still have some hardware limits, but you don't have to worry about like. You're never going to think about like tile compression, right?
Yeah.
It's just who cares? I don't need to compress data. I have, my game can be 100 meg and I still can put, a 12-song soundtrack on the disc.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone found a weird unreleased Simpsons game on an old Dreamcast dev kit.
It's a good looking game.
Yeah. The article speculates that it ended up becoming a game called Mr. Mosquito.
Okay.
Which was a PlayStation 2 game.
But just so our listeners know, there's a game called, well, mostly a tech demo called Simpsons Bug Squad. Mm-hmm. And you play a bug who can kind of float around. It's this really cool, bright, pixel shaded look.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the closest I could describe it would be Jet Set Radio, but it doesn't look like that. And it just kind of has Homer walking around. You start in the kitchen, you go to the family room. The TV's on with what looks like a full Simpsons episode playing. Pretty neat.
Yeah, there's nothing inherently Simpsons about it. I mean, you're essentially a bug invading the Simpsons house.
Yeah. And this was found by someone just dumping their Dreamcast dev unit. So I'm sure stuff like this will keep every once in a while keep finding stuff like this.
Yeah. Work in progress PCSX2. What is all that? PlayStation 2 Retro Arc. You can read this. I can't read, obviously.
So on Libretro's blog, the PS2 emulator works really well now on x86 and 64-bit Intel architectures, and I guess that would be AMD 64. It works great with DirectX 11 or OpenGL. There's give and takes with each of those, but I mean, you could play, God of War, Taken 4, all pretty flawless, and that just seems pretty remarkable to me. And one side note that's pretty funny is that on the new Xbox that you could buy now, the current gen, they left the dev button on there, and it doesn't look like they're going to take it off. So you could put your Xbox in dev mode and sideload pretty much anything onto it, and you could already sideload RetroArch onto it and play PS2 games, which means the Xbox can play PS2 games, but the PS5 cannot, which is just wild. But pretty impressive. I'd like to know if any of our listeners mess with this, so please let us know. We have other dev news that's kind of close to my heart, or not dev news. We have other emulation news, which is kind of close to my heart. This is on Wooloo, a site we go to a lot, woolulu.net. And this is about emulating on a Vita. And apparently the Nintendo 64 emulator has come a long ways. And so you could get pretty good Nintendo 64 emulation right on your Vita. So
yeah, I imagine, because you can play PlayStation 1 games on the Vita very well. I mean, Sony will sell you PlayStation 1 games for the Vita, right? And they play pretty well. I didn't really notice any problems. Some games you have to check a box to emulate the drive speed, or else some games break. I guess some games break if they load too fast. I don't understand what's going on.
Do. Yeah.
I know it's completely different hardware, but I mean they're comparable in terms of power.
Yeah, well, the Nintendo 64 has a lot more polygons per second, but if my memory serves right, but the thing about the Vita is that it's one of the few, I'm using air quotes. I guess I don't even need to use air quotes. One of the few modern devices that doesn't support OpenGL. It has its own 3D API, I guess you'd call it. And so it takes a long time to port things to that. The name of it's eluding me right now, but yeah. So there you go. And I think that is all of our news for the year.
For the year, yes.
Because it is the holiday season, and we, as kids, probably used to flip through the Sears catalog to see what toys and video games are coming out, and or the Toys R Us catalogs as well. Hugh had some cool stuff he scanned in, and we thought we'd pick one and go through it. And what we picked was his Sears catalog. I guess this is the holiday gaming sections of each year, right?
Yeah. So for the record, this topic was ready. I actually hate self-promotion. This is why none of my projects ever take off. I do what's the opposite of self-promotion? Whatever that is, that's my usual strategy for promoting things. So I did not ask to feature something that I wrote on the show.
Yeah, this is my idea.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that no one thinks that I suddenly have self-esteem or something.
And for the record, let me cut in.
Okay.
For the record, I got this idea by Googling this stuff to kind of see what came out like 20 years ago, looking for new show ideas. And on someone else's site, I came up with these really cool scans. And after I looked really closely, it had Hugh's watermark at the bottom.
Yeah. Which I stopped doing. I don't watermark the images. I just have like a little tag on the footer in empty space. Because I don't really feel like messing up the pictures. Mm-hmm. They get ripped off all the time, constantly. I can't begin to tell you how many times these things have been ripped off. I could probably do like a reverse image search and find every site and YouTube video that uses them in some capacity.
Yeah.
But what do I care? Like that's really it. What do I care?
So we should now that we have some actual international listeners, we should say that Sears was a big store in America. It's been in a death spiral for many years now. Probably the worst CEO in modern history. And but they sold everything. I think we got one of our first computers from there. They were in every town. And every Christmas they would put out a giant, maybe over 100-page catalog of toys and stuff. So you could circle stuff, give your parents ideas for Christmas. And so I'm sure a lot of American listeners have these memories of going through this. So where do we start here? 1988?
Whoa, okay, I didn't even think of it. I was going to talk more about Sears history, but I assume everybody knows at this point. Sears has, I think, maybe a dozen or so locations left, and it's mostly, it mostly exists to support a real estate holding company that the CEO also owns. I know a lot about Sears because it's a local, the home office is in my area, and
people have heard about the Sears Tower. That's Sears.
People heard about the Sears Tower. It hasn't been called that in a long time, but everyone still calls it that. But yeah, that was sort of the thing. Like Sears used to have they literally had the tallest building in America, and that was their home office. And then they started losing to Walmart. They really never figured out how to compete against Walmart. And by the time Amazon came around, like they were already kind of floundering. But whatever mail order business they had left was pretty much destroyed by Amazon. And they ended up moving to an office in the west suburbs of Chicago, real big office campus there, and the state of Illinois, for various reasons, has given them massive tax breaks over the years to remain in the state, even though at this point they employ a very, very small number of people in Illinois. Yeah.
They even bought Kmart and then drove that into the ground.
Right. So at some point you'd mentioned the horrible CEO. And essentially they got bought out by one of these not venture capital. What's the term I'm thinking of? The people who buy out retail stores and then wreck them. What are they called? There's some term for this type of business. You can edit this if you want. Why was it? Oh, great! This is driving me nuts. Why can't I remember the simple term, Rob?
I don't know. We'll edit this part.
Yes. Okay. So the long and the short of it is the CEO bought these companies because they owned a lot of real estate, and then he could like split the real estate into a different business entity and have the stores pay rent on the real estate. So the stores would just lose money like crazy, but the real estate business would make money.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then suddenly physical retail stores weren't, like, the space wasn't worth a lot of money, and the whole thing is kind of blowing up on him, I think. He still has billions of dollars, I assume. But the idea was never to run a retail business. Like, his plan was not, I'm going to make Sears and Kmart great again. It was like, I need these businesses to pay rent to my other business, and then I can liquidate the stores one by one over many years.
Yes. Yes. And put people out of work.
Yeah.
But
so,
but video games.
So video games, hooray! I have a couple different years here. I've got 1988.
Some great
the
Master
1988
System
catalog.
stuff.
Yeah, I maybe one day will clean this article up, but I spend a lot of time making fun of how dorky the Sega Master System page is in this catalog, and that over the years has got me a lot of hate mail.
It's funny.
Which is true. Probably deserved to some degree. Is the NES page. What's always shocking to me is like, people might not get this, but like on every single game entry, they have the weight, how much the game weighs, because when you order from the Sears catalog, you had to add up the number of pounds of things you were being shipped for to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
It wasn't free shipping. It was you add up things. The thing about this 1981, did you see the screenshot of Karate Kid on this page?
Is this on the like the NES Advantage page?
It's on the NES Advantage page, yeah.
Yes.
With the big wooden car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the game, or any game.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little typos and just sort of weird oddities in here.
Strange, yeah. Yeah, I always did want one of those NES organizers, though, where you put your controllers in, you put all your games in. I never got one of those. But they were in every catalog.
Yeah, and then I also have the Canadian version of the 1988 catalog. And it's weird, there's no NES stuff in there. It was Master System only.
Weird. They just didn't get there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Really not sure why, because I don't know the history of how the NES, maybe the NES was sold at like Zellers, which was the Sears competitor in Canada. I don't know the history of why the NES was not in Sears in Canada in 1988. Yeah, then you go into 1990, and now it's like a lot of, like, if you want to see a lot of TurboGrafx stuff, like the 1990 catalog is what, 1, 2, 3 Nintendo pages. And by Nintendo, I mean NES and Game Boy. Like 2 TurboGrafx pages and 1 Sega Genesis page.
And, okay, we got to talk about this Turbo Express here.
Yeah.
He's holding the Turbo Express with his left hand correctly, but with his right hand, he's trying to turn the D-pad like it's a radio dial.
Yes, yeah. The hand model does not know how to play a video game. No doubt.
Like, this is the first time the hand model has ever seen or touched a video game in their life.
Oh, yeah. For sure, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
yeah. You could get the Lynx for $169 or the Turbo Express for $249.
So the other thing I want to call out here is the fake screenshot of the Turbo Express TV Sports Football, because they use the same screenshot on the next page. But yeah, TurboGrafx CD was what, $389.95. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high. TurboGrafx itself was $159. So yeah, back in the day, if you wanted all of it, you're basically coughing up like what, $600 with taxes.
Yeah.
Borderline worth it. I don't know. Turbo CD had some pretty good stuff. But,
Oh yeah, definitely.
But minimum wage was like $5.25 maybe in 1990, probably less.
Oh, here it was less. So I got my first job in 94 and I made $4.10 an hour.
Okay, so yeah, so my first job was in Illinois, and it was before 1994. It was like 92, let's say. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think, $5.25 an hour. But Illinois generally has slightly higher minimum wage than the rest of the country.
Yeah, at least more than Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
But a lot of great games.
Yeah. I think the 1990 catalog is pretty good. I like the haircuts a lot, of some of the models.
R-Type is $70.
Okay.
But Galaga 90's $29.
You can get all those now on the TurboGrafx Classic.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called. I have the thing, I don't even know what it's called. It is kind of weird, like, what games they pick to feature, like, first. How do I put it here? Like, Total Recall is the first NES game they mention.
Yeah.
in 1990.
Yeah, I guess it's a name people would know. Well, yeah, they're pushing Castlevania 2 pretty hard. Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario only $35. I'm on the Genesis page now where they're pushing the what's the thing where you could play Sega Master System games on it?
The power-based converter.
Yes.
$34.95.
Yeah, worth it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But this is pre-Sonic, so it's all like, you know, Altered Beast and Golden Axe and stuff like that. Or Space Harrier 2 if you want to be really disappointed.
And then the biggest part is the 1992 catalog. This is huge. I mean, it's a lot of pages in this catalog. But it's all the systems. Like, the TurboGrafx is really represented well in here, even though in reality it was not doing that well in 1992 in America.
Yeah.
But you definitely couldn't tell from Sears, because they have everything, and it's all still full price. You know, this is like Turbo Duo, $300. Turbo Duo games, $59.99. You know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when I got my Duo. God,
And as I noted, some of the screenshots on that page are wrong. Like, it has a ad for It Came from the Desert, and that is definitely not the TurboGrafx version of the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have the Super Nintendo page in here is the one that I've seen dozens of times being used, because it has this like really horrible Mario artwork. Like, Mario looks like he suffered some sort of brain trauma, and he's next to the Super Nintendo that says $99.99. Like, it's just a good page. This thing gets ripped off constantly. It's literally in the latest Angry Video Game Nerd episode.
That's funny. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
the one that you actually scanned.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. I was watching this video. I'm like, man, that sure looks like that Mario Sears scan that I posted a long time ago. So I paused on that frame and looked like, yeah, it's the same one. Exact same one. It appears for like a second when he's talking about, you know, Sears wish books of old.
So on, what system is this here? Let's see, this is 92, page 507, Genesis. The Menacer gun, I have never seen that before. It has binoculars on the top of this rifle for your Genesis.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've definitely seen it. I don't think I've ever used one. Maybe I used one. I probably played like Lethal Enforcers with it once.
Why does it have binoculars?
I did not have those attached. It came with parts where you can have it in like a bunch of different shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do like, you know, handgun, shotgun. I think that's it. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the binoculars could come off.
It just looks so funny.
Yeah, it was a pretty. I mean, it was a pretty dorky looking accessory. I'm not gonna say it was good.
And then finally we get to kind of the Sonic era where I don't see anything, a Sonic, I guess there is a Sonic game in the background, but they're not trying to sell Sonic. They're just trying to sell Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's again kind of weird, you know, weird mix of games they're featuring, I guess. I mean, the first few featured games are like, they make sense. So, you know, Streets of Rage, Tasmania, Toe Jam and Earl, those were all kind of big sellers. And then it goes to like Two Crude Dudes.
And for $60 Wheel of Fortune. Could you imagine being... How bored would you be on Christmas Day if you got Wheel of Fortune? Oh, man. For $60. Yeah.
We should do Wheel of Fortune as a Game Club game sometime. There's a Sega CD version that has like really cringy quality videos.
Nice. And of course, a Game Genie here. Yeah, I'm on to the Super Nintendo stuff here.
Yeah. And as I commented at the time, and I think maybe I still kind of feel the same way, like the first year or two of Super Nintendo games, I don't know. I was never, like, there are a couple launch titles I liked a lot, but overall, like, this first year of games is just kind of, to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only two games I loved was A Link to the Past and F-Zero.
Mm-hmm.
That's really about it. I mean, I know there's more great games on the system, but I'm just talking right when it came out, you know. I mean, F-Zero is still a great game. I mean, Final Fight is fantastic. I didn't even realize Addams Family was on Super Nintendo.
Oh, there's at least two Addams Family, because I think there's Addams Family Values is probably on Super Nintendo also.
But yeah, these games are expensive. $60 for these games. So the TurboGrafx games were a lot, like $10 cheaper. So people complaining about $60 games now need to sit down because they've been like that for 3 decades now.
Well, yeah, and some of that was also Sears. So, like, if I go over to the Electronics Boutique 1992 Christmas catalog, are they? Yeah, they're the same price there. Never mind. They're also everything $60 there too.
But Super Nintendo only $99 there. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that was the core unit. That was the going price then. So Sega and Super Nintendo had kind of like a price war thing going in that Christmas. I was working with video games for that Christmas. Their price war was basically just selling a core system with no pack-in game for $99, which I had to explain to many parents that there is no game in that box.
Oh, I bet they love that.
Right, because previously pack-in games were pretty standard. I mean, I realized that the NES sold, you could buy an NES without a pack-in game. I get that. But most NES purchases had a pack-in game.
Yeah. And so did these customers talk to you like this was your fault?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Yes, they're currently yelling at, they're much older now, but they're currently yelling at like a Costco employee about mask policy, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like even here in 92. So Nintendo was selling the Nintendo Challenge set, which included Super Mario 3. So pack-in was still pretty standard. The Turbo Duo had like 50 pack-in games, it seemed. I know it was only like, it was a 5-in-1 disc and then like mystery game. But yeah, so Sega and Nintendo, their approach was just a bare unit with no games, $99. Or for $30 more, you get Sonic 1 in there. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember I think Nintendo still had like a Super Mario World version that was, $140. Or the base unit for $99.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the PS5 kind of had a pack-in game, but it's more of a tech demo.
Yeah, and I don't know pack-in games kind of a weird concept this day and age where, like, people are probably getting more games via download than physical.
Exactly,
Is it officially shifted to where people download more games than
it's impossible to tell because they don't. A lot of companies like Nintendo don't release numbers. Like they release sales numbers, but they don't release number of downloads. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like this on page 732 for 1994. The CDI.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they carried CDI in 1994. And are you looking at the page with the
Tiger?
The game. Oh, I was looking at the software page with the various games you could buy for CDI.
Most are cheap, but I mean that in two ways, literally.
Right, because they're not. A lot of them aren't games.
They're interactive CDs.
Yes. a lot of them, yeah. I did look at programming CDI, and unless there's a dev kit that's leaked somewhere, no chance. It uses some CPU that I've never even heard of.
Let's see, pinball game, Battleship, some gambling game, and that's really about it. We don't even have Zelda on here. But man, the CDI was $600, and I remember Sears pushing CDI hard back then, and I don't know anyone who bought one. I remember.
Well, you can realize at that point their share of the game business was pretty low because they had actual competitors like Walmart and Babbage's and Software Etc. All that stuff.
Yeah, Toys R Us. Yeah.
Yeah, and none of those stores would carry the CDI for good reason. So I think maybe some exec in Sears thought that this is our competitive advantage. We have the system, this high-tech CD system that no one else has.
Yeah. I mean, Sears also sold the Mac clones, the short-lived Mac clones that no one bought either. No other stores had. So I guess they kind of have a history with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm glad you scanned all these in. I mean, honestly, it's hard to find this stuff on the internet now, you know?
Yeah, well, I don't charge anything for it. Or run ads or anything. Or bug people who use it on whatever. And then like the last couple things here, I put like the 1994 Canadian Sears Wish Book, which you can tell kind of the culture, whereas American Canada are culturally very similar. But the one thing is how like their first page, so they introduced Sega CD, first game on Sega CD page, NHL 94. That's the first game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sega Genesis, NHL All-Star Hockey is the most featured game. Funtronics. Yeah, it's just a lot of like hockey on every page.
Makes sense. Yep.
And then my favorite, which is if you go to the Game Boy page that has the Game Boy, it's page 430.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the Game Boy, the model.
Oh, yeah. Is that Sonic 2 that they're playing on Game Boy?
Yeah, the Game Boy screen has the box for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the screen.
It literally says Game Gear in the screen.
And Sonic 2.
Yes.
Again, not a screenshot of Sonic. It is the box.
Wow.
And then the last one was this ad I had from 1990 that is just completely filled with typos. It's a Sears ad from 1990, and they just have like half the game screens, no more than half the game screens have the wrong game title under them.
Mario Brothers 2 for Mario.
Right.
Simon's Quest for Link's Adventure.
Yeah, and Zelda 2 for Simon's Quest.
Okay.
So that's 3 out of 4 games mislabeled.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. I thought this was a very funny ad. That's why I included it.
Yep, with another 800 number that all of our listeners should please call.
Probably goes somewhere.
And so when was this? 1990, you said?
It was 1990. Yeah.
Yeah, games were about $40 back then. Pretty reasonable. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm glad we went through this. I hope our listeners flip through this. You know, please email us your kind of holiday video game memories. And we'd love to hear from you. Email at retrogameclub.net or on Facebook at facebook.retrogameclub.net or hit us up on Twitter at RGC Podcast.
All right, so why don't we talk about our Game Club picks, which kind of turns out they were both games that if you got them in your stocking, you would be very sad.
Yeah. You might be excited at first, but you would be bored by noon.
Yes, yeah.
Since mine's up there, I guess I'll go first. I did Super Off-Road. This is a game where you're in some trucks and you're driving around a dirt track against 3 other cars, and you earn money to either buy nitro boosts or tires for better spinning, shocks for, I guess, not getting screwed up on bumps and hills as much, and more acceleration and higher top speed. In the arcade, this is a fantastic cabinet and a fantastic game. You have a steering wheel, you have a pedal, which means it doesn't really translate to MAME well. Listeners, again, please email us if you have any MAME tips for this. specifically for like a modern controller like PS4, because I would like to know. I played on the Super Nintendo port, and it's okay, but it's harder than it should be. I almost feel like one of the cars is cheating in every lap.
Yeah. It feels like there's one car that's way ahead all the time, and the other two kind of keep pace with you.
Yes. It's really frustrating where I feel like I'm playing fine, but I'm not. So I went onto the Game Boy one, and it's in slow motion. It looks good. It's just not fun. It's like you're playing cars that are just kind of idling. And then the Game Boy Gear is kind of a mix between SNES and Game Boy. It's a little bit slower, but not as bad as Game Boy. And there's a Genesis one. I don't have the cart or the ROM for that. So I did not play that one. Which is weird that it's not in a lot of ROM packs because it wasn't like rare or anything.
Yeah, is there maybe a licensing thing?
I don't know. I didn't look into it. Possibly. But I mean, you could buy it on eBay for like, $9.
Yeah, yeah.
So, my review of this game is just like what I said. The arcade port the arcade cabinet, fantastic. If you see it in an arcade, play it. Specifically, play it with friends. You'll have a great time. Super Nintendo, maybe it's fun with if you could play 4-player on Super Nintendo and not have the cheating car. But other than that, I don't know. No need to spend money on this one is what I'm saying. If a listener has played the Genesis port and has also played any of the others that they can compare and contrast, please email us. Email at retrogameclub.net.
Yeah, I played the NES version of this game, which is, it's okay. Really, it just made me want to play Micro Machines.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's actually, I thought it was ported well to the NES, but it just gets repetitive so fast. I definitely like Micro Machines better. So I went with Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure under the impression that I thought I'd like the game, and I really did. I played the Genesis version. There's also a Sega CD version. Sega CD version has a really great soundtrack, which maybe is what I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm thinking I like the soundtrack, but I don't particularly like the game. So it's it's not really Pitfall. You're the son of Pitfall Harry, and your father's been captured by bad guys, and you have to go through various jungle scenarios to rescue him. And the play controls isn't very good. He doesn't stop running when you stop pressing the controller. Like if you're on an ice level of a game, you land and then your character takes a couple steps and it's annoying. Like, he constantly controls like he's on ice. And then you have 2 attacks, and I can't tell if you ever hit an enemy with any of them.
It's horrible. Those snakes are impossible to hit, or you hit them right away. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's different every time.
Yeah. This definitely deserves like an Angry Video Game Nerd episode. I played mostly through the first couple stages and then said, I'm done. I can't play this anymore.
Yep.
So then I watched a speed run, and the ending is pretty funny. I won't spoil it, but if you want to just cut straight to the ending, it's worth that. Because I want to see how a speedrunner gets through this game. Like, I can't even tell what's going on half the time in it.
Yeah. I was able to use my on my analog Genesis console. I was able to use the Sega or the Mega SD kind of EverDrive type card to play this Sega CD version, and it was. You're right. The sound, the soundtrack is fantastic.
Yeah. I should look up who did that actually. Oh, we're talking.
My notes here just say, the closest game it plays like is Earthworm Jim, but it plays worse.
Yeah,
just saying a
I
lot.
agree. But you're right. It plays so much like Earthworm Jim, and I didn't really connect with that before. Yeah, but not good at all. Let's see. Lead tester, development tools, art processing, director, supervisor. Music driver, audio. Oh, Matt Furness. There you go. Yeah. So Matt Furness has done a lot of game soundtracks. A lot of like licensed stuff. He ends up on a lot of games that are like licensed games. Huge resume. Yeah, he's a really good composer. So there you go. That's why the soundtrack is so good.
Nice. Yeah. Like, definitely the best part of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I played the Super Nintendo port for a second. Pretty much the same. Just the music's pretty impressive for Super Nintendo, but still no reason to play it. What are you gonna do for the next episode, which is like in three weeks?
Yeah, I'm gonna play through East 3. I know we did a whole like East episode a while ago, but I'm kind of in the mood to try some other versions of East 3. I've really only played the TurboGrafx version. I played the Super Nintendo Genesis and Famicom version just a tiny bit, and I kind of want to play through one of those, or maybe more than one. It's not a very long game. It's probably the shortest East game, and like the Famicom version is kind of interesting because it's a fan port, so it's the only one that uses like the canon translation.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
I'm going to do DuckTales. This is one of my all-time favorite games ever, so I will leave it at that. I'll be playing it on the NES, obviously.
All right. I might play it on the Wii U because I have the remake on the Wii U.
Oh, cool. I should try that. Yeah, I have that on something, probably PS4.
Yeah, it's on everything.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners play any of these games, have any topic of ideas, have any feedback of any kind, as long as it's nice. I mean, you could give us critical feedback. Just don't be a jerk about it. Please email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net, facebook.retrogameclub.net, or at RGC Podcast. Mark from Australia emailed us just saying that he loves the last few weeks. He says fortnights, but I'm translating to American.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad because you've lived in Australia at some point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why you got to take the Australian one because you can translate that too.
Yes. Shadow the Ninja, he was pretty epically impressed with this one. And it even passed his 6-year-old son's test. Off-road, an old favorite, but nice to play again. He learned it's on the Game Boy, so he has a GBA that's modded with a USB-C battery and IPS screen. Oh. Mark sounds like he knows what's going on. I want something like that. That sounds pretty cool. Just like, you said one of your wishes would be everything being charged all the time. You could pretty much have your Game Boy like that.
Yeah. I think we talked about that before we were recording, but I've thought a lot about this, and if I ever got like the genie in the lamp, and the genie comes out and says, you get 3 wishes, I would full on tell them you can keep 2 of the wishes. All I want is every device I have is fully charged all the time.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And Pitfall was another one he hadn't played much. And he had a decent time with it. And finally, Amazing Spider-Man. He's played it before, but also is nice to revisit. He thinks Shadow Ninja was his favorite game out of the bunch. And it pains him that he thinks it's even better than 4D boxing. And then some crazy news from Australia. There's an arcade bandit on the loose. This is crazy. So there's a Facebook link here. Maybe I'll put this in the show notes. Where this guy is going to different arcades and just stealing all the coins. And if you know Australian currency, there's $1 and $2 coins. So you could have like a pocket full of change, but it could be like $40, So, a crazy story. And then in his town, which I'm not going to pronounce, but it's in Victoria, a new kind of barcade pizzeria opened up called Arcadia that I looked at pictures and it looks really cool. Where it has like a walk-up burger bar, some pizza, some beer, and free play games like Time Crisis, Mario Kart, and GoldenEye on some consoles. Yeah, and also he recently learned that one of like the world-renowned virtual pinball and main cabinet builders is right in his town. And I've actually watched this guy's videos on YouTube. I'm very jealous of anyone who owns any of his cabinets. They're really beautiful, and I would love a virtual pinball cabinet one day. So yeah, Mark, thank you so much for that email all the way from Australia. What do we got next here?
I'll get. Wait. Oh, from Zach, who has been kindly managing our social media for a while now, which we appreciate a lot. But he wanted to write in because he got around to playing the Game Club games that we recommended. And Pitfall, he says he really appreciates that the roots of the original game are clearly in there. He did not find it to be any fun, though, and gave up on it quickly. He has access to our show notes and saw my suggestion to play the speed run, and he indeed also thought the ending was very funny. It was good. I really don't want to spoil the ending because it is cool. Super Off-Road. So apparently he played this in the arcade a lot in his early teens, and that the steering wheel steered. It was more like steering a boat than a truck. Which I guess is good because I think is the perspective of the game that's probably good.
Yeah.
So we thought he didn't think the controls would translate very well to a gamepad, and found out the arcade port doesn't support a gamepad anyways. You need to use the left-right arrow keys, but it actually worked reasonably well. And then he played the Genesis port, which of course is compatible with the gamepad, and that he said it was pretty competent, which is a polite way of saying it's not awesome, I think. And then he saw a Game Boy version on Internet Archive, but it wouldn't load. So there you go. Yeah, there's some steering wheel games translate really well, and others just don't. And I think with the perspective of that game. So I don't remember seeing this in arcade. Did you stand over the screen? Like what did the arcade cabinet look like?
For off-road?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one.
It's just a big screen, and it has 3 steering wheels. So you're either on the right, center, or left, and so you're looking straight at it.
Oh, okay. I kind of got the impression it was like the screen was like, it was almost like a tabletop where the wheels were like circled around the game, if that makes sense.
No, that's like what's that one game, like Derby, something like that?
Yeah.
Like a Derby game.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I was picturing when I see the cabinet. I've not seen this cabinet in person, I don't think.
Oh wow, it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
I feel like I would remember seeing this cabinet. I really, really do. Which is weird. I went to a ton of arcades, so it's almost impossible to believe I've not seen this cabinet. Yeah. But I also might have just walked by it 100 times because it's not. I might have walked by it on the way to Mortal Kombat 100 times.
I would bet $1,000 that Galloping Ghost has this.
Oh yeah. Not even a question.
And SuperRT 64 writes in. He sends a bunch of scans of Sega VR headset stuff from Fox Kids Club magazine. Mm-hmm. And this is part of it is Kimberly's top 5, which I guess it's her top 5 VR ideas.
Their VR ideas. Yeah, and this is Kimberly from the Power Rangers.
Okay.
Is it? Well, who else is Kimberly? Is she one of the Rangers?
Oh, yeah.
The first page has the Rangers, and she looks like someone who may have... I've never really watched a lot of Power Rangers, but I think she's one of the Pink Ranger, perhaps.
I think I've seen her at like comic conventions and stuff. She looks familiar, so that's got to be it.
Yeah, and she has her ideas for VR games. Number 1 being Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Team Battle Simulator. All right. Number 2, this is not a good idea, by the way. Virtual Encyclopedia.
Horrible idea.
Number 3, I would play Shopping Mall.
Yeah, you pretty much coded that.
Yeah, it's not VR.
You could port your game to VR.
Well, really, if you had a really realistic VR shopping mall that was like somewhere set in some period between like 1987 and 1993, there's a good chance I would not leave it for a long time.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe I'd realize like how tacky things were then, or come up with some, I'd be like, wait a minute, the 80s was terrible, and I'd take it off. Virtual Sports Car Simulator, there you go. That's a game.
Mm-hmm.
And VR Yo-Yo.
What? What? I mean, why? I mean, did she even try? Or did she just look around the room and just say words of things she saw?
Yeah, could be. I think it's unlikely there was a yo-yo in the room.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, so we'll post these scans somewhere if we haven't already. This is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zach's posting this on Facebook and Twitter. Here's a social media question. Name your most ridiculous Game Club game nominations.
I'm not doing any of these. Might and Magic 2 for Sega Genesis. Why is that ridiculous? Well, we couldn't play it in a week. I have to go back and look at that again. Star Wars, the interactive video board game? I haven't even heard of that.
No, I haven't heard of that one either. Seems like some we would.
Galaxian 3. We might have done, I don't know. No One Can Stop Mr. Domino.
I don't know that one.
I don't know that one. Poolarula?
No.
Don't know that one. Yeah, I don't know. I try, my goal for most of my picks is like multi-platform things so that people can, well, one, I like to compare games on different platforms. It's kind of fun. But also then it's easier for people to play along because they might have a favorite platform. And Might and Magic 2 could make the list because of that, but it would be tough. I get the impression it's a really long, kind of grindy game.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? I need to go back and revisit those games. I don't know if I've ever played a Might and Magic game.
I've played a little bit of them. Yeah, I don't think I've ever finished one. Like I've finished Ultima 3 maybe. Like Ultima's a game series I keep trying to get into, and then I start them and I don't know why I don't know why Ultima is a game series I start a lot and quit right away.
I'm looking up Galaxian 3 here.
Mm-hmm.
See why this one is
weird.
This does not look good. It's a PS1 game.
Oh, okay. So it was one of these like Frogger or Asteroids where they're trying to reboot an old series on new hardware.
It looks like The Last Starfighter, kind of.
Okay.
I might give this a try.
Actually, I might. I'm looking at the screenshot. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe it's horrible. I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. You have intrigued us.
Yeah.
See? Emailing or Facebook, I guess it works. Well, cool. If you want to intrigue us with something, email at retrogameclub.net. And any closing words for Season 2?
No. It's been fun. And, we'll talk again in a couple of weeks. Hope everybody plays some good games over the break.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yep. Thanks.